Keep the spine erect and simply inhale and exhale as itself. Observe how every exhalation relaxes your body and how every inhalation creates a lot of friction, a lot of energy inside you. Without tampering your breath, simply observe the inhalations and exhalations. Now interlock your hands, stretch your arms up above your head, lengthen your spine, inhale when you extend your shoulders upwards. Keep the spine as it is, bring your hands down in front of your chest in Namaskara Sthiti. We'll begin this session by chanting the Gayatri Mantra like every other day. Slowly take a deep inhalation. Let's sing it together. Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Vargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. If you relax and observe your body, you can still feel the vibration inside it. Enjoy this vibration for a few moments. Observe for how long this stays with you. Having absorbed the vibration, let's start rubbing our palms so we can generate some energy between our hands. And place your hands on your eyes. Cover your eyes with your palms. Keep your eyes closed, massage your face, back of your neck, shoulders, elbows, knees, ankles, stomach, shoulders, wherever you want to transfer this energy to. Before you expose your eyes to light again, once more time fold your palms with a lot of gratitude towards every experience that you have had today. Gently open your eyes with a few blinks and welcome this day again. Thank you so much. Good morning. Namaste. Alright, so what did we study yesterday? Girdles. Pectoral girdle and pelvic girdle. What are the bones of the pectoral girdle? Pramod? As anyone can tell from reading the notes, what are the bones of the pectoral girdle? Upper end of the humerus. Huh? Clavicle, collarbone and scapula. Shoulder blade, है ना? Collarbone, upper arm, shoulder blade, or humerus, clavicle, or scapula. Technical names. What are the names of the two processes that are coming out of the scapular bone? Two ridges, those external ridges, which serve as attachments for the ligaments and muscles. What are the names of the two processes? They are called processes, but if you look at them, then they are more or less outpouches or extensions of the scapular bone, which serve as attachments. Acromion, coracoid process. Acromion process, coracoid process. What is the name of this joint in case of the pectoral girdle? Sternoclavicular joint. Huh? Clavicle bone, sternum. Sternoclavicular joint. Simple as that. What are the names of the three pubic bones? The hip joint is the pelvic girdle. So more or less, the pelvic bone is made up of three different bones. The three different pubis. Pubis. Huh? Uh, what is the name of the shoulder joint? This one. Very nice. What is the name of the space where the pubic bones are meeting each other? The pubic bones, the hip joints, they are coming together and there's a, huh? Sacrum is a part of the spine. What is the portion, that space where the pubic bones are coming together and they have a cartilaginous joint, more or less? Pubic symphysis. Pubic symphysis. Huh? What is the name of the ball portion of the femur bone? Femoral head. Femur, femoral, right? Femoral head. And what is the name of the socket where the ball portion fits? Think. I told you all of this yesterday. Acetabulum. Right? Acetabulum. One last question. Acetabulum. What is the name of the cavity of the scapula bone? Glenoid process. Glenoid process, right? And what is labrum? Labrum. Labrum. Labrum is the cartilaginous rim of the processes of the cavity, the socket end of the joints, which is there. No, it's just something which is making the entire cavity comparatively deeper as compared to when it was before, which is shallower in case of the pectoral girdle but deeper in case of the acetabulum, the pelvic girdle. Alright guys, these things it's okay. I don't expect you to remember these things, but by creating so much tension I'm just expecting you to be able to remember these things to some extent. Revision more or less. Alright, so what is the knee joint? What do you think is the role of the knee joint? And one by one, tell me how would your life be different if at all there were no knees to support your existence? What is the purpose of the knees in your life? Think about how your life would be different if you were born without knees, or if you were still having legs but there were no knees. There was basically no joint here. What would be different about you? Sorry? Yeah, so basically think about your life if you had legs but you didn't have knees. So just a straight leg. Bending would have been a challenge, right? Running, walking, jumping, everything would have been so much difficult. Knees, they make our life so much easier because, you know, one way or the other, these knees, they play a vital role when it comes to our own physical movements as such. For someone who has knees but who's not able to use them, I don't know if you've ever come across a person like that whose knees are broken, who can't really do much, but their life literally changes as compared to how our lives are, because we have healthy knees, we have very practical knees as such. Without the knees, you won't be able to walk, you won't be able to run. Everything is going to be a mess. You know, crouching is going to be a challenge, being able to pick something from the floor, walking. These knees, they support the body weight throughout our lives. Throughout our lives, anytime you're standing, anytime you're sitting, these knees are handling all the weight there is. And on the other hand, these knees are responsible for transferring or shifting the weight of the different muscles of the legs. Without these knees, if there were no knees, then more or less the calves would be doing all the work. The quadriceps may not really be functional as such. So these knees are responsible for activating and deactivating the quadriceps muscles as well as the calf muscles by allowing the various bends that they experience. If you bend too much, then the stress comes on the quadriceps. If you keep them straight, then the stress comes over the calf muscles. So more or less, it's not just about what they do, it's about how important and how easy they make our lives as compared to not having knees or not. Now, don't get me wrong, there are people in this world who are not born with knees or who have had broken knees or who've had their legs cut off, but they're still making things happen. That's because of their willpower. But majority of the people do not really have the stress, do not really want to take that much efforts to develop themselves to an extent. Some people are just unstoppable that way, and knees or no knees, that doesn't make much of a difference. Practically, the knees, they are more or less a synovial joint in nature. That means they also have this whole cavity of synovial, of a ligament surrounding the entire knee cavity. On the inside, they have a fibrous capsule. On the inside, they have a synovial membrane through which they release all of these synovial fluid, which keeps the knee healthy and active. But on the other hand, what you need to realize, because of the burden that these knees have on themselves, they are more prone to injuries as compared to other parts of the body. Even though, principally speaking, one way or the other, the ankles are handling more weight, so to say, of the body. But then again, the ankles are a combination of various bones. They are not as delicate, so to say, as compared to the knee joint. Practically, the knee is literally handling all the weight of the upper body, while the ankles, they are helping us balance the weight of the entire body as such. So the weight bearing capabilities of the knee joints is what makes it extremely vital, extremely important for ourselves, which also tells you that it needs something special as compared to any other synovial or any other cartilaginous fixed joint. It has a more delicate, more interesting structure as compared to other joints inside the body. If you just look at, this is the anterior view. Anterior being, what is anterior? The front side. This is the front view of the, the knee joint. This is the superior view of the knee joint, and this is another anterior view, but I just wanted to talk about the patella bone in this case, which we're going to discuss. If you look at the anatomy of the knee joint, then you'll see that the femur bone, which is this bone, the longest bone in the body, it is attached to the patella bone. Now, I want you to straighten your leg and hold this patella bone as it is. Keep it as it is. And now, when you have it here, bend your knee. What happened to the patella bone? It moved. Where did it go? Where did it go? It basically shifted in the space because it is attached to the femur bone. It has no as such attachments to the tibia bone. The knee joint is made up of two bones specifically, even though in principle it looks like the fibula bone is also a part of the knee joint, but the fibula bone does not have anything to do with this whole thing. In fact, the fibula bone has nothing to do with the knee joint. It just serves as an attachment on the outer edge. This bone that you feel right here, this is the fibula bone. And you can make out that this bone has no role to play when it comes to the movement or the functioning of the fibula bone. But the fibula bone, the distal end of the fibula bone serves as an attachment to stabilize the entire ankle joint, and that's why it exists here, so that it can stabilize the ankle joint. It doesn't have anything to do with the knee joint as such. So this patella bone is more or less attached to the the femur bone, and it is able to move upwards and downwards anytime you're flexing or extending your knee. It will never come down as close to the tibia bone as compared to the femur bone as such, because it has its direct attachment to the fibula bone. It is attached to the femur bone with the help of the quadricep tendons, which are running from the top of the hip joint and ending up right here. You can see it right here. This is the quadricep muscles, and eventually every muscle is going to have a tendon attached to it, which is attached to the various bones. This becomes the quadricep tendon, which secures this patella bone from the top. Naturally, this makes it more attached to the, the femur bone as such, but it has only 2 or 3 attachments to the tibia bone, which are only there to stabilize the location or the positioning of the patella bone. One of the attachments, which this quadricep tendon, it extends further to become the patellar tendon that changes its name because it does not have any muscles attached to it. The quadriceps, they end over here, but it just extends to covers the entire patella bone, and probably because the the tendons, they are comparatively thinner, they are still very strong. They are more or less paper thin as such, but because of the flexible cartilaginous structure, they are pretty strong in their nature, and that's why you can still feel the patella bone moving around in all directions as compared to a bone which is secured by ligaments. The patella bone specifically is also secured on either medial and lateral ends with the the lateral patellofemoral tendon. On the other side, medial patellofemoral tendon. Here, I'm sorry, it's not tendon, it's a ligament. Lateral patellotibial ligament, which tells you that this ligament is starting from the patella bone and finishing up or attaching at the tibial bone, or the the proximal end of the tibial bone. Lateral tibial ligament, medial patellotibial ligament. Which side, Yashashri, which side of your knee is lateral and which side of your knee is medial? This is medial, this is lateral, and because of these names you can easily make out which ligament is or which tendon is are we talking about specifically in relation to the entire body. These names are according to the midline of the body. We are talking about the entire body as a whole, and this end of the body, that means the fibular bone is always on the lateral side of the human body, far from the midline as compared to the other side which does not really have the fibular bone on that side. So medial patellotibial ligament. This is not a tendon, this is a ligament. I'm sorry, but you can see that. Yeah, above the patella, all of them are tendons. These are tendons, these are ligaments. But F becomes femoral because they have attachments to the femur bone. And by these, you can easily, by just remembering the names of these various bones and various muscles, you can easily make out which becomes the attachment, or this particular portion is attached to this bone. It includes this bone as such, as like the same thing that we discussed when we were discussing the various girdles. This is all there is about the entire other thing. What do you think the patella bone serves? What is the function of the patella bone in case of the knee joint? Patella bone doesn't do that. Protection of what? You're right. Protection of what? Protection of this synovial cavity. Because we are required to sit down anytime you're sitting in Vajrasana as such, or other things, anytime you're standing, if you end up knocking your knees somewhere, then the inside, like I told you, that the inside anatomy of the synovial joint is more delicate as compared to normal joints. And to protect that, the patella bone in an extended state, when you're standing, the patella bone covers the entire area as such. When you're flexing or bringing the ankle close to the hips, that's when the patella bone goes up and gets closer to the the femur bone. Right? Now, the important thing that you need to remember and you need to work with, something that you're going to work with eventually, is all the ligaments that secure the entire knee joint. The ligaments, more or less, as yoga teachers, are very vital because these ligaments are the flexing part of the entire knee joint. If there is a damage, or these ligaments actually make a lot of poses happen. For instance, there are two ligaments which secure the femur and the tibia bone from either sides. The one on the outside is called as LCL, or lateral collateral ligament. Collateral ligament. Lateral collateral ligament, the one which is above the fibula bone, and this ligament is responsible for stabilizing the knee joint from the side or the lateral side, or if this ligament was not there, then it's probably going to slide in either directions. probably towards the left side or the right side. The opposite location of this ligament is called as MCL or medial collateral ligament. Now, COLLATERAL. TERAL. What do you understand by the term collateral? You know, it's usually no, as in so you give some sort of security, more or less. You know, collateral damage. They say it as collateral damage. So the same thing is applicable when we discuss these collateral. These serve as a security for the knee joint. That's why they're named as collateral, because they help in stabilizing the knee joint from sliding in left or right directions. Without these ligaments, the knee joint would not be able to move as such. At the same time, because of these ligaments, they also restrict the flexibility of the entire knee. Without these ligaments, if there were no security by these two ligaments, then you probably would be able to rotate to some extent. I don't know if you would be able to rotate the knee. There are obviously more complex structures to talk about, but I think even partial rotation would have been slightly possible if these ligaments, they were not present inside or securing the entire knee joint. There are two other ligaments which help in stabilizing the knee joint, and they are called as ACL and PCL. ACL, namely anterior cruciate ligament.